Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, team. Give me 1 second. I'm still getting set up. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty there.
Yeah, I'm not good with computers, so I'm happy I'm here, man. So
Don't worry, you're not alone in that fact.
no, it's like and everything right now is happening. This online stuff, it's like a PhD for me, man. I want to build a house, not like build a computer program, man. You know.
Yeah, one day it'll change. One day we'll get back into a room.
I really hope so, man.
So I'm going to hop back out of this meeting one more time, and I'll try rejoining as a panelist. I think we have maybe a little bit of a technical difficulty. Worst case, I can just wing it, and you guys won't be able to share screen, but we can get through the item. It's a pretty simple item. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Look what I made, Joe. You eliminated this the visit schedule. My next study.
Mm-hmm.
I love my lemonade. When I bring the binders in today, tomorrow, I have stuff to put in them.
No drinking, Daryl.
You got it.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, looks like we're all set. Looks like that was able to work. Okay, so we are joined tonight with Commissioner Ching. Who's our second SARC member? Do you recall, Commissioner Ching? I thought it was Ostrowski.
Yeah, should be Maggie.
Let me see if she's trying to get into the meeting.
So we are waiting for one more person, yes?
Yeah, we're waiting for our second commissioner to hop into the meeting. I'm trying to send an email with the meeting link just in case there's the same kind of issue I ran into. I'm finding the general public link was working. I ran into a little bit of a conflict because we had another meeting that was kind of holding our Zoom session. Okay, so I'd say that we give it a couple more minutes. I just sent that link to our second commissioner. And if not, we can go ahead and continue the item with a single member body.
And then, Stephen, I have a question. So this meeting only is for the San Tomas neighborhood, yes? Any other parts of Campbell don't have this, right?
Well, not entirely true. I mean, you could have a site and architecture review committee held for any discretionary permit process that involves.
Oh, okay. Because I did once a long time ago, about 8 years ago, and 8 years ago it wasn't so bad, you know. And then after that, I think it started getting more complicated, you know.
So, Commissioner Ching, if you'd like to start the meeting, I suppose we could at any time, and we could probably provide a little bit of a recap to Commissioner Strauss.
Yeah, sure.
If you were to join.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a rather straightforward item. I honestly, though, I don't anticipate to take more than a few minutes.
Okay. So shall I get it kicked off and do a little intro and what type of stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining the Site and Architectural Review Committee. I'll just read it off verbatim of the report here. The SARC is a subcommittee of the Planning Commission authorised by the Campbell Municipal Code to review the architectural design and site layout of proposed development projects. The SARC makes reports and recommendations to the Planning Commission. However, the SARC has no decision-making authority and its recommendations are not binding on the Planning Commission. So essentially it's an informal opportunity for the applicants to present their project and get some feedback from the representatives of the Planning Commission before it's formally heard at the public hearing with the Planning Commission, which is usually a few weeks later. Does that type of cover everything, Stephen, or have I missed something out?
Absolutely. Perfect. Great. And then so presenting tonight is myself. I'm Stephen Rose. I'm one of our senior planners for the city. And I'll go ahead and share my screen here, and we can go ahead and get started with the actual item. So item 1 on the agenda, and the only item, is a site and architectural review permit request. In this particular case, the project site is located at 1327 Burroughs Road. It's a 14,026 square foot flag lot, which is located on the west side of Burroughs Avenue, between Hacienda Avenue and Pollard Road. The property is zoned R110. It's a single family residential, and it's located in the San Tomas area neighborhood. The site is currently undeveloped, having been recently subdivided from a portion of 1325 Burroughs Road in the last 2 years. So the applicant's request tonight is to allow for the construction of a site, is for a site and architecture review permit to allow for the construction of a new 3,600 square foot, 2-story single family residence with a 420 square foot attached garage. The permit request also entails the removal of 2 pine trees, which we'll cover here in just a second. So on this particular permit, we had only really raised 2 items of staff of merit, those being the rear balcony that's been proposed. And this the exhibit here on the screen shows the placement of that balcony relative to the new 2-story home and kind of the predominant views you'd be seeing from the back of that. What's kind of hard to see there because of the kind of the solid red line is that there is a 75-foot distance between this rear balcony and the closest building wall. But what we're picking up on a staff is this whole backyard is, I mean, they have a structure in the backyard. It's active use. I mean, this is a functional backyard of that particular owner. There isn't really a great way of screening the views other than the couple of trees and plants that they propose. This particular balcony is also rather large. It's 155 square feet. It's 33 feet wide and it's 5 feet deep. So it's rather functional, and it'd be access off the master bedroom. So one major consideration is for tonight's item is whether or not this balcony is appropriate. If the SARC does find support in having a balcony, is the size of it appropriate? Should it be smaller? Should it not be as deep? Should it be filled in on the side? Should the railing be filled in so you can't see through it at an angle? If you're standing from within the bedroom, those types of considerations that we wanted to bring to your attention. So separately, so as part of the permit request, the applicant is looking to grade the entire site as one big development. Although it's not really part of this particular permit, the applicant is proposing a new accessory dwelling unit at the back, which would be in conflict with these two pine trees, which are located at the back left corner. So while pine trees are not typically a protected tree species per code, because this is presently an undeveloped lot, tree removal permit is required for any tree that's over 12 inches in diameter. So in regard to the trees, I actually went out to the site myself. I took a look at them and got a pretty good feel for the condition of the trees. They do have rather heavy leans to them in given directions. The trees are also somewhat unbalanced because a number of branches have been removed in the recent past. We also sent the city's arborist out, Bob Sadinsky, to take a look at these trees, and he noted that in addition to man-made defects, like we've cut off a number of branches, the trees also have natural defects as well, and they're also just generally wrong species for the area. The city arborist had also noted that these two trees they have beetles, which will continue to stress the trees. And just in terms of age, these trees are considered mature to very mature and are anticipated to last a number of more years. So although as staff, we generally recommend tree preservation, as is called for by our ordinance. In this particular case, these particular trees seem to be able to meet the findings for removal if the SARC would like to recommend that to the Planning Commission. Granted, if these two trees want to be preserved for a few more years until they run their course, there's some actions that could be taken on the trees. Thinning out the canopies, trying to rebalance them that could help them maybe stay intact a few more years. But again, they're not really great candidates for preservation based on the reasons stated. And then these are just a couple more photos of those particular trees. We have the 42-inch tree, which is the larger tree, which is on the left. If I go back to this main image, this is the larger tree. You have a smaller 14-inch diameter tree on the right. The photos over here is just pretty much showing that you have these branches that extended at a rather severe distance and are probably likely to prone to limb failure, just given that the angle that they're at, they're not exactly tight to the trunk. And also here showing a photo of the back, just showing a number of branches that have been removed along the rear property line. And just in terms of the scale, the size of what 42 inches looks like, and then you have the 14-inch tree. Both these trees are leaning rather substantively. So with that said, and in consideration of this particular project, staff had just raised two discussion points. The first being is, should that balcony that's been proposed in the back of this unit, which could propose significant privacy impacts to neighbors, should that be retained, or should the project applicant be requested to make changes to it, such as walling the sides, reducing its size, or there's other options as well. We could add additional landscaping or more substantial landscaping along that rear property line to try to provide some greater semblance of privacy, but it's not anticipated that, because it's not anticipated that those measures will be greatly effective given the placement of that balcony relative to the adjoining lot, that it might just be more appropriate just to remove the balcony entirely. Then separately, just the discussion point is, should these pine trees, which as noted, that aren't in the best of condition, should they be recommended for removal, or should they be preserved and maintained in some way? That's really it. And seeing that we still don't have our commissioner, our second commissioner, we could up to you, Mr. Chang, if you want to take comments from the applicant, or if you want to deliberate amongst yourself.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I'd be very happy to hear from the applicant or the applicant's architects before I've got some questions and comments.
So Luca, and if you or Daryl want to add anything that you think I had left out, or just some.
No, everything. I think everything is there. I mean, pine trees. Like I said, I also had a separate arborist. Because there's like three trees on the property. One is completely dead, because with the beetle bug, how you call it, and then so he told me these trees are going to be probably a year and a half in the same situation, so they're completely brown, So, and the balcony, I mean, we would like to keep it, or if we had to reduce it or whatever. I mean, a little bit of the balcony, I mean, I would like to keep, but it's your decision on the end, So, but the trees, I mean, and we are planning to put ADU over there. And where the trees are, and like I said, we don't mind planting. I mean, I plant. I have avocado farm. I plant trees all day long, so that's my kind of hobby. So I don't mind putting, something less messy than a pine. Maybe oak or whatever else will go there. So, but it's that's what I have to say. Daryl, how about you?
Daryl, you're muted.
Okay, so we've got small walls on each side of the railing, where the railing, I mean, the deck comes out 4 feet. And so I put solid sidewalls. They go up 42 inches high. We could raise those up a bit higher to say 5 feet. And I've got the railing looking straight out at the back. Basically, it only serves the master bedroom itself, so it's not going to get a lot of use. What it's mostly for is just to be a covered patio, a little covered area for the sliding glass doors below in the family room. So it's your call. We could do anything on that. We could saw it all the way around, but I don't really expect it to get a lot of use.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dale. The concern is the privacy side of it, and it might not get much use with the first family, but if it's sold, then you never know what's going to happen in the future. Have we received? Has have the neighbours been informed of the development, and have we received any comment from them?
So at this stage in a permit review, we send off a courtesy notice to all owners within 300 feet. That's usually at the very start when a project is received. As far as noticing goes for this particular meeting, we haven't received any correspondence. I don't have any letters about the balcony, no concerns from the neighbor about the balcony. To answer the planning commission meeting, we will be sending a formal legal public notice, and it's possible that we'll receive comments at that time.
Okay, thank you. Could you put up the slide with the plan of the balcony there, please? And just looking at the diagram on the right, I guess from that they'll have a clear view into at least one rear garden, which I guess is a concern. I don't want to say it should be removed because it's at the rear of your house, and you should try to get the maximum enjoyment from the design on the house. But that. I think that will be a concern to the commission here. I don't know how you can mitigate that. I guess you can grow trees along the wall, the boundary, but that's going to take time, and I don't know how effective it's going to be. So I'm probably giving you a problem rather than a solution here, right? Because it could be anything from removing the balcony, which I don't see why it needs to be removed. If there could be a solution to, the privacy angle, the privacy aspect of it, which I do see as an issue, and maybe the neighbours will raise that. And I think if a neighbour does come to the planning commission and say, look, you're having a view straight across our garden, again, can't speak for fellow commissioners, but I think they would be sympathetic to that being an issue and wanting the balcony removed or something which stops that being an issue. So I know before it comes up for the planning commission, if you could do some noodling on ways to mitigate that might be a worthwhile investment.
And I think that's a point well taken. I think if you provided, Daryl, if you could provide a couple options of different approaches to try to reduce the privacy impact, that way there's like a menu of options that could be presented to the planning commission.
Okay.
That might be helpful. And what's almost somewhat hard to see from this exhibit is, I mean, this is a gazebo in this backyard. So there's a walkway path leading to a gazebo. And then beyond, it's almost like there's a part of the backyard of this particular unit which is improved and a part that's more or less unimproved. In that unimproved area, they have things like a trampoline and other activities that they have back there.
Yeah.
So, fence, which is ironic because, you know, them bouncing the trampoline could probably see over the fence as well. But then you would have an
For
active
short
unit
periods,
down. You're right, exactly. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Also, I mean, we can see that through the window anyways. I mean, you know, it's the same view from window or the balcony, and pretty much you get the same, right? I mean, if you're looking up, I mean, you can see same view, balcony or not. I mean, you can still see the same thing, you know. I mean, if you're standing on a balcony or you're standing behind the window, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, right? I mean, you can see the same.
Yeah, partly, right? But you don't, you know, and that could be an issue, right? You might bring up another issue here that they will want to mitigate that. I guess the thing with a balcony, you can get your chairs out there and you can sit on a pleasant summer's evening with a glass of wine, and, you know, it's a big balcony, so you could have friends up there, and that would be a serious concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's your master bedroom. I mean, I wouldn't take friends to the master. But anyways, I got your point. Maybe, I mean, see what they say. I mean, if you have to reduce it, or, I mean, guys, you know, we can, on the end, it's your decision, right? I mean, you know, we can, you know, we're not putting a jacuzzi on the balcony, you're just putting a,
well,
you know.
no, it's up to you guys what you want to do. I give you the feedback. You know, I don't want to say it should be pushed in, pushed out. I'm not an architect.
Yeah.
I'm sure Daryl has a lot more smart ideas than I or even my fellow commissioners can come up with. You can keep it exactly how it is, but I'm just raising concerns that I anticipate coming back from the Planning Commission. Or you could, as Stephen says, you know, here's some options to mitigate that. That might be a worthwhile action.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And then the trees. I guess for me, this is more of a sensitive thing here. You know, they don't sound in great condition. I get that. What I don't understand, and I'm not a tree expert, is they have beetles. They haven't really been maintained properly. You know, if action was taken, I don't know, can you treat the disease or the beetles that are in these trees? If you cut down the 14-inch tree, would that help the 42-inch tree, or vice versa? You know, can they be saved? Right?
I mean, I don't mind planting mature trees. I mean, you can buy like for 10 grand, you know, not this size, but 10-year-old tree. I don't mind planting the trees there. You know, I mean, even for privacy issue. I mean, you know, my other project, I planted like these huge trees, you know, mature trees, you know, and maybe to help with the balcony and replacement. I mean, like I said, I'm going to have, I'm more into landscaping. So, like I said, I hate, because problem I had on another property, I had the same pine tree leaning like this, and super with these branches. With the big rain we got, I mean, it crushed. It was on Regina over there. It crushed the house. I mean, like it was like it's the same situation I had, you know. And with we had like a pouring rain, and just, I mean, the damage was like about $65,000, you know. So it crushed the house, you know. And this branch is going to lean on this house or the next house, you know. So that my thing is also, because it's not balanced. Somebody shaved, when they're building a house next door, they shaved 20 branches, you know. So it's you know, and it's leaning against the other side. So, and anyways, plus the other tree, like, you know, about 50 feet away. I mean, I had pictures like a year ago, looks similar to this, and right now it's complete dead, you know. So it's like we pulled the permit to remove it because it's like looks like a old Christmas tree, you know. We've been sitting out for a while, you know.
So I don't know, what's the life expectancy of these pine trees typically? Does anybody know?
That's actually that's exactly what I was about to look up. Our arborist did review them and did see, you know, unlike oak trees, they're not as well along with pines in general. that these are ranging on that, again, the mature to very mature range, for those reasons he's feeling. The city arborist, I mean, he has no stake in it. He's providing us an unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
And from his perspective, he's saying that these trees, I gave him the credit of saying that they might not be around for a few more years. His exact statement was he was predicting that they would be dead within 2.
Right.
So, I mean, the other consideration is, although it's not technically part of the scope of this permit request, is that they are proposing an accessory dwelling unit on this property, which would be in conflict with these trees. The placement of that ADU is also somewhat tied into the fact that they have a fire truck turnaround requirement property, which kind of pushed that ADU to that back left corner. You have the combination of these factors. You have these trees which are in great condition. Your point, Commissioner Chang, likely that we could probably do some actions to try to extend their life expectancy. I think it's a fair question to ask. How much of an extension could we expect if we were to do the a la carte or all of the above Cadillac option for these trees? If we were to start to water them better, if we were to treat the beetle infestation that's in the trunks, to help some of their girdling issues. But again, I'll be asking the city arborist again, if we were to take all those actions, would that change the life expectancy from say 2 years to 5 years or 4 years? And is that really understanding that right now is there's a cost savings for this particular applicant, and understanding that pine trees are not typically a protected tree species, that these are protected by virtue of it being an undeveloped lot, which is almost I want to say technicality in and of itself. I mean,
Yeah, because I mean, technically, if I get a house finals, then I can remove it with no problem, right? I mean, it's kind of catch-22, right?
Yeah. So, Commissioner Chang, that's one point I would probably clarify a little bit. I mean, right now, because it is an undeveloped lot, removal of these trees prior to the construction of a home warrants a tree removal permit, requires it per code.
Right.
If it becomes a little bit of an order of operation issue, if the applicant were to build the home first, complete and final that job, and then propose the removal of these trees, they would no longer be protected unless we were, as a commission, requiring their preservation as part of the landscape plans.
Right. Okay.
We would need to be taking a more aggressive action to actually willfully and notably say that this is mature landscaping on the property, they're trees of merit, and we want to preserve them. Otherwise, it becomes...
So that could happen, sorry, Stephen, interrupting. So that would, if I was just understanding the process correctly, that could happen during the house permitting process. So we could say in the landscaping, we believe these are trees of merit, and as part of the permit, we could specify those to be preserved.
Correct. As part of this site and architectural review permit, the planning commission could condition their preservation, even though, in order to prevent their removal, if they
Right. Got it.
thought that was an appropriate action.
Okay. I think the general concern is, just a reduction in the canopy across Campbell, right? I think we, at least subjectively, every planning commission, we seem to be doing a tree removal, right? So that's the sensitivity here. It would be nice to understand from the city arborist, the scenario if we took proactive action on looking after these trees, would that change the outcome meaningfully? Or it goes from 2 years to 4 years, which probably isn't very meaningful. And they're going to die in all cases in 6 years, right? So again, probably not that meaningful. I think, it's still sensitive to me. I think it'd be sensitive to the planning commission. But if Luca came back and said, look, I'm going to acknowledge this, I'm going to plant some trees which are a protected tree, designated by the community development director, and maybe one of those being more substantive as he was describing, so a bigger tree, if that's appropriate.
Exactly. I mean, I would talk about, 5, 6, 7, 8. Also, I mean, not a small bush. I mean, talk about 10, 15 grand. I mean, I planted a couple of those for privacy issues, and they sell them in Gilroy. And I mean, first, it's a great value to the house. I mean, fine, it's messy, and it's ugly and not safe. I mean, I'm all for planting trees. I mean, I'm going to put trees and then some. I mean, you know, all where, you know, so I mean, I'm not for taking trees, but this is, you know,
Yeah. I think if Luca, if you came back with that in your application, I think that would be received very positively, because you know we don't want to be a pain in the backside for no reason, right? I get it, and if these trees have a type of limited life and they're going to fall, you know, at the same time we want to try and keep the canopy in the city. It sounds like that's similar to what you'd like to do.
Oh,
So
no, that's definitely, but most definitely. I mean, I'm more, I mean, you know, Blast House, I planted about 30, 40 different trees. And, you know, 8 years later, they're like, you know, cherry trees or whatever, you know, we have oak tree, avocado trees, they're all growing like crazy. So I'm all for it. I mean, you know, and I'm going to bring some pictures. I mean, I'm going to go to Gilroy and say, you know, you guys tell me, I mean, what, you know, you want to oak, what you want to pine, whatever you know, whatever it's kind of, you guys have preference to. And like I said, I don't mind spending the money on landscaping. It's good and it's green, and I mean, money well spent. So I'm okay with that. You know, I mean, for me,
Okay,
I mean,
that sounds a great compromise, actually. Again,
Yeah.
I can't speak for my fellow commissioners, but to me that would be a very interesting way forward.
All right, so what we can do is do a sketch of an enhanced landscape plan. And so while we're working on the sizing of the canopy, we can also work on the privacy issue of the master bedroom balcony.
Yeah, that would be. I think otherwise it sounds like a very nice development. Be a shame to you know, get stuck on these couple of items if we got some workarounds.
and plus we've been working almost a year right now, because with this Corona online, I mean, he's talking about just online system being done. I mean, I mean, like, woof, it's really been a struggle, you know, and it's like, just
Yeah, it's been tough for. I appreciate tough moving all these things forward for everybody.
Well, okay, I think we have some really great feedback, and yeah, if I were to just to summarize it, it sounds like marching orders for me is I'll work with the city arborist to find out what preservation methods might be recommended if we were to try to retain the trees, how long that might gain us on it, but as a fallback in the event that these trees, you know, aren't going to stick around, Daryl and Luca will work to identify at least one larger replacement tree that could be proposed as part of an enhanced landscaping plan, and then separately provide like a number of options of different ways of providing additional enhancements, screening, or privacy improvements to that balcony element.
Yeah, that sounds a great summary.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and wait. I mean, we don't know. There very well could be some public comments between now and the planning commission meeting, which could also weigh in the merits of whether or not a balcony is even appropriate. So we'll keep an open mind on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And great.
Well, thank you so much. I think with that.
So, Stephen, on our end, what do we have to do right now on our end? I mean, you know, we need to, we are pushing on a building side. We're talking to Bob and Marge. And then on you guys' side, what else we need to do for right now? Nothing, or
Yeah, so that's a fair question. I'll go ahead and address that now. We could also talk after the meeting as well, but we are scheduled back to back on this particular item. So we are advancing to the October 27th Planning Commission meeting for this item. That means that the staff report for the Planning Commission is due tomorrow for me to turn around and make the packet, which means the sooner the better that your team can provide me those enhanced exhibits. That would be very helpful to me. Just identifying a larger tree and showing me those a la carte menu options of different privacy treatments. I can usually work on the report while you guys are working on providing me those materials, and I'll just attach them towards the end. So we'll make the meeting, but just keep in mind that's the timeline. If we can't turn those things around in time, they could always be provided as desk items after the meeting itself.
I can get you some sketches tomorrow. I'll just shoot those to you, and then you can let me know if they're okay.
All right, and it's 7:04, and I think that kind of really concludes our first and only item, and we do need to adjourn the meeting for the Planning Commission meeting to occur. So unless, go ahead, Commissioner Chair.
No, sorry. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.